If I had one tip to give you to help you hear better in 2024, this is what it would be. Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 203, and today I want to give you guys a little bit of insight as to what my thoughts are to help you actually hear better when we're going into 2024 here. But before I do, if you could do me a huge favor, click that like button, really helps out the channel. And if you do not have a subscription to this channel with notifications turned on yet, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. With that said, we just of course turned over the new year. When you're watching this, we're probably a week into 2024. I probably should have recorded this video last week to make it a little bit more contextual for New Year's Eve is what it would have been. So, but with that, let me just go ahead and kind of explain a couple of thoughts that I've had here. So I've been doing a lot of content creation at the end of the previous year, going into a new year. I always like to talk about what my favorite hearing aid technologies are, all the improvements that have happened over the course of the previous year that have led to newer technologies and better technologies as we go into the new year. And of course, in 2024, we're also going to see technological advancements of hearing aids at different intervals throughout the year. We have a consumer electronics show that I'm actually going to here in another week or so. We have different conferences that will come up earlier in the year and later in the year that a lot of hearing aid manufacturers like to release new things with, or at least make announcements of different things that are coming up down the road. And it really got me thinking about man, it's got to be pretty exciting for individuals with hearing loss when they consider all the different options that they have to actually treat their hearing loss now. Oftentimes I'll create videos talking about the technologies that were available 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you just think of those technologies and it's like, man, those sucked compared to the tech that we have to work with today. And I don't want to sound like I don't appreciate those older hearing aid technologies, because I believe that when manufacturers are pushing the envelope on what hearing aids can do, you have to go through, different technological development, and it might not necessarily be good at the time, but it leads to stuff that gets substantially better. And I would venture to say that, 10 years from now, right now, when I think that all of these hearing aids that we have out there are just amazing in what they can do comparatively to, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, we're going to have devices that blow all of the devices we currently have out of the water in terms of performance and capabilities and all of that. And, if you go and just look at 10-year stretches in the hearing aid industry, you're like, holy cow, there's always major advancements over the course of that time. What we don't typically see, though, is major advances 1 year by 1 year. Now, what I mean by that is that if you happen to be wearing a hearing aid technology that is 1 generation old, you're probably not missing a whole lot on the newest of the new generation, because there's only been 1.5 to 2 years of technological advancement that has happened in that time. Now, in some cases, having 1 year of technological advancement, if a new and improved feature comes out, it totally justifies upgrading hearing aid technology. So I don't want to be misquoted here in saying that you won't notice any differences ever when you go from 1 generation to the next generation immediately following it. What I am saying is that sometimes there are major technological advancements that literally just come out and it's like, oh my gosh, this completely changes the game. Let me give you a for instance, or a couple for instances. Back in 1996 is when we saw the first fully digital hearing aids hit the market. So we basically went from completely analog or combination of analog and digital to fully digital devices in 1996, and it was like, oh my gosh, this changes the game, all right? And then we had, going into the early 2000s, we had the receiver and canal devices hit the market, and it was like, holy cow, this is a game changer. And then we had, the early 2010s where we started to see Bluetooth capabilities come out with hearing aids, where you could directly connect your hearing aids with your Apple iPhone. And it was like, holy crap, if you had just purchased a hearing aid the year before, if doing Bluetooth connectivity was something that ultimately you need because you struggled on phone calls and you wanted to listen to music and all that right inside of your ears, upgrading your technology 1 year after would have made total sense to get that one particular feature. And And as time has gone on, we've seen newer and newer features come out, and sometimes it justifies upgrading immediately. Sometimes it's like, let's wait and see where they go with this. We need to see them advance that tech a little bit more. I do happen to think that 2024 is going to be a really exciting year for new tech that comes out. And even if you purchased the previous generation, if I think that these MEMS speakers, so these solid state silicon speakers silicon speakers are coming out in hearing aids, that would be a major advancement. When you start seeing LE audio Bluetooth come out inside of hearing aids, and you also have the corresponding compatibility with other devices like phones and tablets and laptops and TVs all have this LE audio Bluetooth capability, that is going to be a major feature upgrade. And then also some different vent technology, right, with silicon vents as well. But, it got me really thinking, like, is that really the stuff that we should be looking forward to improve our hearing substantially this year? And as I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Based on my experience in the clinic, working with a lot of individuals who were lured in by the allure of having this newer, latest and greatest hearing aid technology, and then they purchase it somewhere and they bring it into my clinic and they're like, yeah, I just got these new hearing aids and I can't hear for crap with them. I'm like, well, that's weird, because like those are really good hearing aids that you have. And so what is the issue that we're having here? Well, the issue is that those amazing hearing aids were not fit and programmed appropriately for those individuals. And it got me really thinking. I'm like, I talk all this talk about how, new hearing aids are great and they have these different features that would significantly change your life. And at the end of the day, people are getting these hearing aids based off of my recommendation oftentimes when I'm talking about them in my YouTube videos, and they end up having horrible performance, and then I'm kind of a bad guy in a way, because I'm like, well, Cliff, you said these devices would be ideal for me if X, Y, and Z, and I have X, Y, and Z, so why aren't these devices working well? And it's purely because the way that they were set up is not correct. I would argue and say that about 50% of patients who actually physically come into my clinic to see either myself or one of the other amazing audiologists that we have on our team, they're coming in not because they don't have decent hearing aids. They're coming in because they're just not performing well. And the issue that they're having is it's because they're not set up the right way. And so how do we figure this out? Well, we figure it out because we actually put them through a comprehensive case history. We put them through a fully detailed hearing test to make sure that it's accurate, what their actual hearing loss is, and we're doing it in a best practice way. So the speech testing is done recorded. We also do speech and noise testing. If we start seeing air bone gaps, we end up doing tympanometry. If they end up having a hearing loss that is accompanied with tinnitus, we do tinnitus pitch and intensity matching, and we do high frequency testing to find out what is their hearing above 8,000 hertz and how would that play into our treatment recommendation. And then on top of that, if they do have these existing hearing aids that they're not doing well with, we actually do verification measures inside of their ear canals at their consultation. So this is before we even take any steps in treating them. We're literally verifying to see how well their hearing aids are programmed to their hearing loss prescription. Are they set up in a way that would meet the wants and needs of these individuals? And oftentimes the answer is absolutely not. I mean, we've seen so many egregiously poorly fit hearing aids out there, and it leads us to believe that, you know what, you can have these amazing hearing aids. If you don't implement them the right way, then it doesn't really matter at all. People who purchase their hearing aids online, and the people online say, send us your audiogram, we'll customize the hearing aids, and then they get the hearing aids and they're like, these still sound like crap. No kidding, because you didn't have any best practice procedures or follow-up over the course of the time when you purchased your online devices. No wonder you saved so much money, because you didn't get anything for it other than a widget, other than a hearing aid itself. So as I start to think about what is the thing, if I had to give you one thing that is hey, if you want to substantially improve your hearing ability in 2024, this is what I would do. And it has nothing to do with getting a better set of hearing aids. It has everything to do with making sure that the hearing aids you currently have are set up the right way. And how do you ensure that? Well, you actually have to go to a hearing care professional who follows best practices, because if you do not, you are likely leaving substantial benefit on the table. In fact, all of benefit on the table potentially. Some people come in, they're like, hey, I wear these hearing aids and it's no different than me not wearing hearing aids. Well, that means that you spent whatever X amount of dollars and you got zero benefit from them, you got zero value from them. Now, to go to a best practice provider, you're going to have to spend more money, because one thing that best practice providers do is that they put you through a full series of testing procedures, a full series of verification, a full series of everything, and it just takes time. It takes a lot of time in some cases to make sure that everything has been done the right way. But if you do that, if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to take my hearing aids that I already have and I'm going to identify who's a really good professional and I'm going to go to them and have them check everything out. Now, you might be at the very best hearing that you can possibly be at. But the problem I have with that is that if you feel like you're not sure if you have the full amount of benefit from your devices, then your hearing care professional did not follow best practices, because part of best practices is at the end of it, verifying and validating that you're actually getting the most amount of performance out of your hearing aids possible. And if it is not communicated with you that, like, listen, we've done everything humanly possible to make you hear better with these hearing aids, and you are at the highest level of performance you can possibly be gotten to, then they didn't follow best practices, because that's the discussion that should happen at the very end of a fitting sequence with someone who does follow best practices. There should be no question in your mind that everything has been set up exactly the right way. They discussed with me all of the decisions they made and why they made those decisions, and I gave them, here's the issues that I had and here's the solution to those issues. If you did not have that type of collaborative experience with your hearing care professional, then they did not follow best practices with you, and more importantly, or arguably as important, they didn't do it in a person-centered care way where they included you in the treatment process. So really, if you want to hear better in 2024, you have to go find one of these providers that are excellent at what they do to identify if new technology would be appropriate for you, but even more important, if the hearing aids you already have are suitable to treat your hearing loss and if they could be optimized further. Because 9 times out of 10, when someone comes in with existing hearing aids, we are not selling them new hearing aids. We are optimizing what they already have. The other 1 out of 10, they were either recommended the wrong devices, or those devices are locked and we can't adjust them, or their devices are so old that it's like, listen, the things that you want to do is not possible, or not possible with those particular hearing aids. So how would you actually find an excellent hearing care professional? I'm glad you asked. I would really be going to my website, hearingup.com. Now, this is not me trying to plug my own thing, but if you can identify a best practice provider on your own, by all means, go to them, okay? If you're not sure what best practices are, I will link a best practice checklist in the description of this video so you can download it and then see all of the different procedures and considerations that your hearing care professional should be following to optimize your treatment outcome. If you're like, you know what, that seems like a lot of work trying to locate a provider who's doing all of these things, that's why we started Hearing Up. So every Hearing Up network member is committed to following comprehensive best practices in a person-centered care way to make sure that you're getting the most out of your hearing aids, whether you got those hearing aids from them or whether you got those hearing aids from a different clinic that didn't follow any best practices whatsoever. You just have to be prepared to potentially spend some money to have them do all of the evaluations and all the readjustment necessary to optimize the performance of your hearing aids, with the potential that they would be like, listen, based on the things that you want to be able to accomplish with your hearing aids, you can't use these hearing aids. You have to use these other hearing aids to accomplish that stuff. So what do you want to do? Do you want me to optimize what you have? Do you want to switch to something new? And only then, only after you've had a comprehensive evaluation of how your performance is with your devices, can you really make an educated decision on whether or not you want to upgrade technology or whether you want to stick with what you have and just optimize it further. But that would be my advice for you in 2024, is to stop looking for the best hearing aids, start looking for the best hearing care professional, because that will have a significantly more amount of impact on your overall hearing performance than the newest, latest, and greatest hearing aid ever would. All right, guys, that is it for today's vlog. If you enjoyed it, again, please make sure that you hit that like button. And as always, I will see you next week.